Hey everybody, welcome back to Backlog Banter. I'm your boy Abram, joined as usual by Tucker Hazel, and we're here today to do properly BLB. This is, of course, the show where we talk about all the games we've been playing that don't make sense for full reviews. But before we share our thoughts on what we've been playing, if you want to tell us the games you've been playing, the link to our Discord as usual, top of the description all the way down there. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Here's the deal.
Yes.
All right, Tucker, you know this.
What's the deal?
What's the deal with the people who watch our videos and don't subscribe? You
That's
look at our
true. What the
analytics,
fuck's wrong with them?
it's a big fucking percentage. You're coming from the search bar, I know you are.
How
Subscribe.
and that's a crazy thing to me. How does someone find a BLB episode from the search bar? Like I tag a lot of things. I get the hashtags. I try to make this appeal to the metric as much as possible. But also we talk about fucking kicks and Star Fox Assault.
Yeah.
And somehow people find the videos.
I think that's why, because nobody is talking about kicks or Star Fox Assault. It's like the four people that want content about that. They have no other choice.
Yeah.
No other choice.
And I don't think we're gonna be making kicks content anytime soon.
No.
Since like 2 weeks ago when I played it. But
Tucker, we're done with that. Fuck the plugs. Let's talk about what we've been playing. You want to go first?
I would absolutely adore doing that because I've been playing a game that I have been quite adoring recently, and that is the Picross game Murder by Numbers on Nintendo Switch. And I picked this up. I think I talked about it last week. I picked it up in a little bit of a sale, which I probably should not have just gone for, but I bought a couple games. One of them, Murder by Numbers, something that I've been looking at for quite a long time. I'm a Picross man. If you look back to the ye old days of Backlog Banter, I was talking about how Picross S4 was one of the best games I played during quarantine. That still rings true. I played Mario Super Picross too much. Got Picross S5 the minute it released, as soon as I possibly could. And Murder by Numbers is very interesting because it takes that formula and makes it a little more compatible with the minds of people who aren't just looking for Picross, because there is a competently written story with interesting characters. It's a visual novel, but it's well done dialogue and character art and stuff placed around the idea of this little robot named Scout scanning things and learning about them through Picross puzzles. That's his retro programming. So you're a detective, you're not really a detective, it's a whole thing, but you're trying to figure out, what an item is in a crime scene, and Scout scans it and he's like, what the fuck is this? So you got to finish the puzzle and then you find out what the item is. And then you can present that item to people you're interrogating to see their reactions to it, to get more information out of them. So there actually is a compelling gameplay loop, not only for Picross, which the Picross puzzles are good as Picross, you can't really mess that up too bad, but feeding that into the visual novel detective aspect of it. It's not super deep, but the fact that they put it in there at all is already really interesting. And there's 4 stories to play through. They're like episodes in the main character Honor's story, but I'm a little bit of the way through the second one, and I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely something I'm gonna not burn through. I've definitely burned myself on too much Picross occasionally, but if this is a slow burn for me, and I'm gonna take my time, drink it in, and have as much Picross fun as I can.
So Tucker, let me paint a scenario for you, right? That Sega Picross game finally releases, right?
Yeah.
It's cheap, you pick it up. Are you more tempted by a straightforward Picross experience or this kind of hybrid one?
I think I need to see how much the story ends up like coming together at the end, because while I'm having a fun time with the characters and stuff, I will find myself focusing only on the investigation until I run out of investigations to do, and then doing the visual novel part, because I am just doing it for the Picross. The story is kind of just a bonus and kind of a unique spin on it.
Sure.
So I'll pick up the Sega one, but that might be more up my alley unless the story actually becomes something like super interesting. It is well written. I like the characters. It takes place in 80s Hollywood, so it's got this interesting vibe. They're referencing a lot of movies, which is fun. It feels really good to learn about and play, but I do find myself wishing to get to the puzzles. Like, I've been doing interrogation for such a long time. What do I have to do to unlock more puzzles? So maybe that's, I think I'm more just a straight Picross guy.
Well, we'll see. Is it a long game?
9 hours maybe. I mean, a meaty portion of that is the story, is the interrogations and talking to the characters and stuff. But also it's got a great jazzy soundtrack, like that 80s Hollywood sort of jazz vibe to it. A banger soundtrack going behind all these puzzles. I do highly recommend the game. It's very well made. Who isn't? It's made by Mediatonic, the guys behind Fall Guys, which is
Oh,
very
really?
interesting. Yeah,
Do
I
they
honestly
develop it or publish it? That's very peculiar.
one of the two, one of the two. It's not Jupiter. It's not related to Jupiter.
Sure. Okay.
But thumbs up for me.
Thumbs up. I'll give an honorary thumbs up to that. See, I think if I
What's an
was gonna
honorary
play,
thumbs up? What the fuck does that mean?
I'll second your thumbs up. I don't know.
Okay, sure.
I'll allow you to be happy, I suppose.
Sure.
But I think if I were to play a Picross game, this is probably more attractive to me.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I don't know how to play Picross. I think that's probably the biggest hurdle. So I probably want that other element. But maybe once I understood how Picross works, and if I wasn't such a fucking idiot, I might just want that straight experience. So we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
But Tucker, let's just talk about it. If we're talking about Switch games, let's talk about Mario Golf.
Yeah, I was wondering how we were going to tackle this one in this episode of BLB because I've put a lot of time into this game. Yeah. I played it 5 days straight. It was basically all I played for those few days. A handful of Murder by Numbers puzzles in there, but Mario Golf Super Rush has been consuming my gaming time, but just because I wanted to finish the adventure mode.
Yes, that's very peculiar, and we're planning on doing like a full discussion, maybe bringing a special guest and things of that nature.
If he responds to my Twitter DM,
I'll shoot him one too if he doesn't respond to you. But it's a big guest. It's a fucking headliner, barn burner, if you will.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't necessarily support arson, but I'm not opposed.
So I've been playing quite a bit too. I kind of dropped out of the story mode.
Kind of an elite centrist on arson.
Okay, at that point you're complicit still. So let's get away from the legality of being a centrist on arson. I've been playing quite a bit too, mostly in multiplayer with my sister. Mm-hmm. I think this game is a real bummer.
Yeah.
The more I play, I think this game's a real bummer. Not because it's bad, because I think it's really fun. But Camelot put that much content in the game. Yep. Not zero, just a small amount. You got to stick one eye through. It's really disappointing.
You got to peer through the hole to find the content. It's hidden in there.
So here's what I want to do, Tucker. Let me tell you a little bit about my multiplayer experience. You tell me a little bit about the single player experience. We'll make this nice little union of thoughts, and we can delve into them later in that full discussion.
Sure. BLB not part of a union. Just want to make that clear.
No, certainly not. If Tucker,
we don't get paid. We don't have rights.
If Timo and Tanner tried to unionize, we'd fire them on the spot.
I don't know how to fire someone. I don't know how to pay someone either. Maybe slip them a tenner under the table to get out of our lives.
Here's the point. We've been playing a lot of speed golf together, a lot of battle golf together, and it becomes very obvious that you can see everything in the game in an afternoon.
Yep.
And that's really disappointing. I think battle golf is the clearest example of this because it's so much fun for people who aren't familiar. You're in this battle arena and there's 9 holes. Everyone's playing simultaneously. You have to claim 3 flags. And so it's a race against the clock. It's a race against each other. You can fuck with each other. There's actual Mario Kart-esque items on the arena. There are these timed events that occur that maybe turn your balls into Yoshi eggs or drop bob-ombs from the sky. And it's really wacky. It's really fun. There are 2 courses.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
And one of them is basically a junior version of the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like the rookie course to the Bonnie Greens course.
They're not particularly super different.
They're not particularly different.
And don't they have the same aesthetic? Like it's a purple in a stadium?
Yeah, it's basically just a simplified entry-level version of the more complex battle arena.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
To okay, let's get a basic sense of the rules, then you go into the main map. And that's so lame. There's no other way to put that. I mean,
especially for an entire game mode.
It doesn't make any sense why you would put so much work into crafting these rules and items that don't really show up elsewhere, that are so fun, but you settle it with one course. Why not even, because we see cross-country golf in the main game, and essentially battle golf and cross-country golf have a lot of the same DNA.
They could use the other map.
Right. Use the other maps. There's a clear lack of content. There's a clear lack of budget here. And it's just disappointing because it is so fun. That's the thing I keep coming back to. My sister and I have laughed harder playing this game in local multiplayer than any other Switch game I've played local multiplayer in a long time.
Yeah.
It's a riot. It's awesome. It's so fun. But it's just a sinking feeling of we've seen it.
Yeah.
The game's been out for a week, not even a week as the time of recording. We've seen the game. and that it's just not going to stand the test of time.
And let me tell you, these exact complaints transfer wholesale over to the adventure mode, because I complained a lot about the adventure mode and its opening few hours from that, and the things that you were saying about the worlds being charming, you liking that it was a simple story with, you know, Toadette and Boo and Charger Shock, all that. None of that carries through. And I mean that in both a good way and a bad way. The courses obviously do get more interesting. You've got a sand one, you've got an ice one, you've got a rainy one. So they're more interesting than Bonnie Green's, but they're still very simple. The story goes away for a little bit and then tries to catch back up near the end in a really terrible way. It doesn't make any sense. It feels super forced, super rushed. And but it's bad. It's a terrible way to do it. And the one thing you were saying about Battle Golf, I think also applies to the adventure mode, is that there are mechanics here that aren't used anywhere else. You have this whole section of the adventure mode where you're learning how to do lob shots, how to skip things off the water. You use those for probably one simple puzzle each, and then they're gone. You can't use those for really use them in other game modes. Like, I guess you could probably use a lob shot, but why would you want to? You want to get your ball really close to the hole. The lob shot's not really super useful for that. It's interesting that they do try to give you mechanics, but they're A, underutilized in the adventure mode, and then B, not useful anywhere else. And that also applies to the stats of your Mii character. You're so much more overpowered than everyone else, but the things that you got used to doing in the adventure mode don't necessarily really apply to multiplayer game modes. It's a really unbalanced and frankly, even though we made a video about it, I still have to say unfinished package. It does feel like this is the core of something cool, and I think the things that it does add with speed golf and battle golf and the running around a simple adventure mode, these are cool ideas, but they're the ideas of an idea. They're not fleshed out at all. They're lacking anything to support them. There's no variety, no replayability, no unlocks after you've played through each of the very simple courses. And it's just very strange that this game, it looked really good when we saw it the first time, but we just weren't aware that's all that there was. So I'm very disappointed in this game.
I would say that Aces was stronger at launch, actually.
Can't compare.
Having now played through it, because the most baffling decision here, which doesn't apply to me as much because it's just not how I would play this game, but the online mode is laughable. There's not even the tourney system from Aces. You can just match with people or not. It's as simple as let's play a game, no ranking, no tourneys, nothing. Even on offline mode, you can't even change the strength of the computer players. It's just
I heard that.
It's actually shocking in a lot of ways. And I'm having played it now, I'm surprised that the reviews are even as good as they were. I really think that you can make a very strong case, as we did in a recent video that's doing pretty well for us, that Nintendo releases games that are lacking in content and are unfinished. I think Super Rush is just unfinished. I just think it's lacking so many fundamental and basic features.
And not only that, the basic stuff, but it seems that, from only the hint that we've gotten of that New Donk City course, it seems like the creative stuff is coming. The stuff that will make this game feel like it has its own charm, like it is taking advantage of this new hardware capabilities and stuff. Like, it seems like they're saving the cool stuff for later on. What we got in this game was the bare bones of the simple stuff. No interesting courses. One of my biggest issues with this game, and it's a relatively small problem, but I think it points to the fact that my complaint initially being much more golf than Mario is that they put Mario set dressing, they sprinkle them occasionally on these maps, but they don't do anything. There's a pokey, but it's no different from a tree. These level gimmicks are nothing more than a skin of Mario. It's a veneer of Mario over basic nothingness, and I think that's really disappointing.
So you can either unlock the courses from beating the adventure mode or just from playing 9 on them in multiplayer. So my sister and I have played all the courses. I think that probably the Bowser themed course is the only one that feels clever to me.
Yes, because there's actually fireballs that impact your thing.
And I like the idea of hitting the bob-ombs into other players. I think that's clever, but that's 1 out of 6, and the other ones are fine. They're totally fine. But again, what happened? Was Camelot what happened? Were they working on a different game that got scrapped and then they had to make this?
Mm.
Did they just not do anything during the pandemic and then this game really came together in the
Mm.
last minute?
Interesting.
I don't know. I feel like this was a sloppy job. This
Yeah.
game feels sloppy. This does not feel polished. This does not feel up to even the standard of an Aces of a Kirby Star Allies, which was lacking, but
Mm-hmm. Now, my
grew.
question is, do you think you'll play the 4-hour story mode? Like, you're going to do the adventure mode?
Honestly, I think I'm probably gonna knock it out when I'm flying
Sure.
this weekend to come visit you.
Mm.
Because what else am I really gonna be playing right now? I'd like to finish it. I'd like to see it through because honestly, I think that there are cooler ideas there. I want to see those bosses. I actually genuinely really like cross country golf. I think that story
All the
mode.
time it's going to show up. I'm
Yeah,
done with it.
I heard that. So I will finish that. So probably by the next time we record this show, I will have finished it.
Sure.
But in the moment, I want to focus on other games and then
Mm.
just play multiplayer. But
Yeah, because I definitely do want to discuss the adventure mode in greater depth with you because
yeah,
we had pretty disparate opinions on it initially.
yeah,
As I've seen the game through, I think my complaints are pretty founded. Like they were
sure,
they were first impressions, but I think unfortunately those first impressions were indicative of the entire experience,
yeah,
and it also introduces new issues throughout that I really do think make it one of the worst adventure modes I've ever played, like campaigns I've ever
sure.
played. And it seems like I'm not really alone on that because people are really fucking shitting on this adventure mode. Uh,
Yeah,
but
so
you'll have it beaten, and we can have a more. I don't
yeah,
want to really tell you my full thoughts until you've
sure, sure,
experienced
sure.
it yourself.
And I think you were saying this in the Discord. You should play the Aces story mode.
Yeah,
I think it'd be fun actually if we did a discussion kind of comparing those because I've played that, of course.
sure,
Maybe in the time that it takes me to beat this as I'm traveling, you can play the Aces one because it's about a
sure.
commensurate length.
Okay,
We can do a little bit of
I'll
a
have to learn the
comparison and
tennis mechanics
contraction.
because I don't. I just like golf. I've dabbled
Yeah,
in Mario Tennis Aces. I probably play a couple rounds, but I don't. Honestly, I'm interested in seeing how the adventure modes differ. So yeah, that's a good idea for a discussion. I'm gonna write that
yeah.
down so we don't forget it.
I actually think that of the two, you would probably like Aces more. Once you understood those mechanics, I think
Sure.
they add more to the experience for someone who's not a fan of the sport
Rush
inherently.
versus Aces.
Um, and especially with all that post-launch content and the
Do
fact
those
that
affect the adventure mode?
I, there's this piece of my head that's telling me that yes, they changed something about adventure mode post release.
I don't know.
So we can figure this out off camera, but I'm
Sure.
pretty sure it got improved. Maybe they added more challenges, changed cutscenes. They did something, which was weird. I remember it being weird. Um,
Anything
you want
else
to
about
give
Super
another game?
Rush? Yeah, I would love to. I would love to move on because I do think
Yes.
Super Rush is something we want to continue to discuss. However,
Yeah.
we have a plan for a larger discussion, and your thoughts are not complete. So
Yeah.
let's move on to Sly Cooper and the Thievius Racoonus for PS2. Now, this game is very interesting to me because
Yeah.
I played this game with my friend Isaac Adams, who has introduced me to such classics as Ribbit King and Trauma Center, New Blood. He and I
Okay.
played a lot of weird games together. It's great. He's one of my best friends. We have a great time together. But Sly Cooper is one of those games we really connected with because we started up the game probably 3 or 4 years ago on my PS2 and started 100%ing it. We were doing
Yeah.
every collectible and every extra area and everything in the game. But after that night or 2 days that we played it, we never went back to it. So he was over and we were looking at Sly Cooper and we're like, what if we restarted it and see how far we can get? So that's what we did. We played Sly Cooper switching off the controller every few times we died. And we were going for completing the levels instead of collectibles. So
Yeah.
we were just trying to see how fast we could get through the game. On my first playthrough, I'm not sure if he had beaten the game before, but this game it's really something special, and I really want to
Yeah.
try the other Sly games because there's a level of polish here that Sucker Punch just it oozes charm. The characters are fantastic. The voice acting is great. It's got these really cool hand drawn cut scenes with a map as you travel. It doesn't make any sense. Like your bus drives over the Atlantic Ocean, but who cares? It's funny.
Yeah.
It's a world globetrotting adventure. It's got these great boss battles. Every level is super unique. It's got these levels that have different gimmicks. It's one of the better 3D platforms I've played because it not only takes interesting level gimmicks, but has interesting combat mechanics as well, in terms of you swinging your cane and using that to traverse the levels and use it. You have stealth abilities, and it's just so much fun, and I'm really enjoying it. I brought my PS2 with me back to Lincoln alongside the game and a few other games. So I will be beating it and maybe putting more time into getting the collectibles, since I don't have that time limit on me anymore. But what I really want to do is get the PS3 Sly collection with
Yeah.
all three of the games in it, because I don't know how the games change, but apparently after two they're pretty different. So it'll be I'm just I'm a Sly fan now, and I think I'd love to see that series come back, because Sucker Punch knew what they were doing there.
Yeah, Sly Cooper is really cool. I have got like shadowy memories of playing Sly Cooper back when it was newer, back in the PS2 generation. And I've
Mm-hmm.
always wanted to go back. I was talking about this recently. I don't remember why, but maybe I'll play Sly Cooper. Um, and I'd really like to. I think when I come to visit, I'm gonna pop in your ear Thievius Racoonus for a little bit,
You
and
can. Oh, I'd love you to do that.
but I think there's such a fun energy to Sly Cooper. He's I think kind of in like that Jack and Daxter space of a little bit
Yep.
more of like a quote unquote mature, 3D platform, a little bit more mechanically complex, some
Yeah.
interesting ideas.
Characters,
Yeah,
a competent story. One interesting thing is you get at the beginning of each world, you get a set of cutscenes that explain who the villain of that world is.
yeah,
It's like they're part of like essentially the Sinister Six for like the Frightful Five or whatever the fuck for, and you get like their childhood origin story of why they're a villain, and it's really interesting because it plays into like the way that they fight you in the boss battle. So like there's just like a really fun charm and polish here that I as a 3D platform fan, like even though I mean Mario Odyssey, one of my favorite games of all time, 3D platformers can be put into something with
yeah.
more depth, in terms of upgrades and story and voice acting and stuff like that. So I want to beat this game. It's one I haven't got back to in the week that I've had, even though I could have.
Sure.
But Mario Golf, man, just naturally Mario Golf taking up my time instead.
It'd be very cool to. I don't think Sucker Punch ever would, but it'd be really cool for them to go back to it.
Yeah,
We got that fourth game from I think Sanzaru developed it,
don't know.
which I played. I thought it was pretty cool, but the opinions seem to be more split on that one. I'm not as familiar with Sly as people who really care are, so I didn't know. Like it seemed
Yeah,
like more Sly Cooper to me, but we'll see. And I would definitely like to play these games in a little bit more of a robust way. I wish that they were PS2 classics. I'm
yeah,
not sure why they aren't,
that'd be
but
way better. I mean, the collection is probably how I'm gonna go for.
yeah,
I mean, it's still kind of expensive, but you're getting three games, so
yeah.
divide that cost by three, I guess. What else have you played this
Tucker,
week?
I was gunning towards the finish line of Metroid: Samus Returns for this episode, and I
You are?
didn't quite make it there. But I still want to talk about the game because now I have four Metroids left.
Out of
I
30, you said last time?
out of 40.
40. Okay, that's close.
So for people who are curious, I just killed the Diggernaut, and I am fighting the next big boy Metroid. Because I know you're gonna play, so I don't want to spoil, but they get more and more complex. And the last mutation of Metroids are a real motherfucker to fight. Let me tell you something. Um, Not in a way that feels cheap or anything, but they just really challenge you. Like those are
Sure.
those are boys you gotta watch out for. Um, the more I play, the more I'm pretty sure this is my favorite Metroid game.
Oh, wow, interesting.
Um, and so the reason being is because I'm fucking dumb, Tucker.
Oh yeah,
I'm really dumb, and I like getting lost in a world, quote unquote. I don't like getting
sure.
lost literally in a world.
Hmm.
And I feel that a lot of the times when I'm playing Metroid, I get literally lost in the world because there's some esoteric block I have to bomb, or
Yep, that
because
fucked me up multiple times in Super Metroid.
yeah,
Where it's
or
like, okay, you need this to progress, but also it's like a Zelda 1 style hidden thing that you have to blow up. It's like, what? Who came up
and
with this?
when you play more Metroid, you start to you get just like a feeling in your balls that there's probably a bombable
Sure,
wall here or
yeah.
something, or like you're playing Super Metroid and you get thrown down the pit with like the ostrich and you have to like super jump or dash and
Oh,
traverse the
holy
ceiling to
crap.
get
I
out, and it's
remember
like
that. Why was that so complicated? Using the wall jump.
Right, it's a wall jump. So there's just always elements of other Metroid games where I feel just stuck, and that doesn't feel
Sure.
fun.
Yeah.
I think that Samus Returns is probably too linear. I think that they were partially hamstrung by remaking a game that was already very linear
Yeah,
and
of
very
course.
serial. But I definitely see the complaints about that linearity. But for me, I think that Mercury Steam strikes this incredible balance of the game being linear but not feeling hand-holdy, feeling
Sure.
like the discoveries you make are your own, feeling like you're still progressing through the world, finding secrets and everything, but you're removing all of the junk of getting stuck in
Hmm.
all of these places before. Partially because the Aeon abilities are really clever, letting you scan your environment for bombable walls, letting you
Okay.
get through challenges and such, but also just clever design. I think it's a lot more streamlined in a way that doesn't feel compromising, if that makes sense. And at the same time, I love the action emphasis. I
Hmm.
think Samus feels so good to control. I think she's so badass, right? And you finally feel that in this game.
Hmm.
There's so many awesome cinematic moments where she'll like grab a Metroid and flip it onto its back and stand on its stomach and shoot missiles into it. Or
That's awesome.
they're just Mercury Steam understands Samus. They understand this world, and that just feels so clear. And this is such an awesome realization of what Metroid is, and just I cannot wait to see them take it further, bring it into
Yeah.
HD with Dread.
Hmm. And
So
have their own, like, not be
yeah,
restricted by a remake.
yeah, not be beholden to Return of Samus,
Because what I'm hearing from this game, and I obviously no experience with it,
yeah,
only Metroid game I've really played is Super Metroid. The linearity probably not a huge issue to me. I'm not opposed to linear games. I mean, a lot of my favorite games are linear.
yeah,
And the focus is uh on action elements and updating things with having scanning and stuff. That just kind of sounds ideal to me. And the idea that this is not, it's a linear version of Metroid, but it's using those mechanics in your ball and your fucking missiles and stuff,
yes,
and putting that in the format of something that's more linear. I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. It might just not be what people were expecting. Although, if they played Metroid 2, they probably could have. I don't necessarily see that as something to complain about this game.
yeah,
But also I haven't played it, so I can't fully comment. But
yeah. I haven't played the original either. I just
don't think you need to.
about it.
Oh,
Yeah,
obviously
I
you
don't
don't
think
need to.
so. But I mean, Fusion is also really linear, but I think Fusion it's also narrative heavy in a way where the narrative kind of takes focus and that kind of leads the exploration. So I
Sure.
understand why that feels stiflingly linear. But this is still, the Metroid stuff of it's very free form in terms of narrative. It's about getting enriched in the world and exploring it at your own pace.
Sure.
So I think it finds a better harmony between linearity and exploration than Fusion does, and it just feels so goddamn good to play. And it looks great on 3DS.
Sure.
Sounds great. Great 3D effect. Can't wait for Metroid Dread. That's all I'm going to say for now.
How many more games do you have?
I have like I have like a concept that embodies like a game and a half.
Okay. Well, I have one more game to sort of touch on.
Yeah.
I'll probably be able to give more robust thoughts next week, but
Yeah, you will.
much to your chagrin, I'm talking about Pac-Pix and not Halo 2, so fuck you. I started Pac-Pix the other day
Okay.
just to fuck with you because you're like, he's never gonna play these games of coffee. Being like, fine, I'll do it myself, fucking Thanos. Slot the Pac-Pix cartridge into my beautiful BLB themed Nintendo 3DS XL,
Yes.
new Nintendo 3DS XL, excuse me.
Beautiful design.
My favorite fucking things I own. And wow, this game kind of fucking sucks. Um, I mean, I'm only like what 3 out of 10 worlds in, but it, all the stages are basically the same. It's a weird high score. Do you want me to
Yeah.
explain what Pac-Pix is?
Not of course I know what Pac-Pix is, but the audience might not. So if you could, slow it down
Yeah,
for a
so
moment.
Pac-Pix is Namco's idea of capitalizing on the touchscreen with the stylus of the DS.
Yeah.
I don't know what year it was. Oh, 2005, actually. I do know yours was released because eBay sent me a thing yesterday. Like, are you enjoying your Pac-Pix Nintendo DS 2005? That was the name of the email. And I thought that was funny. But you draw yourself a little Pac-Man. You go boop, boop,
Yeah.
boop. And he starts munching forward. And you can grab him and hold him back a little bit. Or you can draw walls to make him turn. And that's it. And you automatically eat the ghosts if your mouth touches it. Um, sometimes you can unlock a key. Sometimes there's a new kind of ghost. Sometimes there's a boss fight, which just boils down to you making your mouth bigger than the boss. And and that's it. And yeah, this is just one of the most blatant examples of, hey, DS has a touchscreen. What can we do with Pac-Man? And it sucks. It's not a good game.
So it's no Drawn to Life.
No, it's no Drawn to Life SpongeBob version either, which I played.
I forgot that. I forgot that came out.
What was that called? What was that called?
SpongeBob
Drawn to Life. You get Doodle Bob, and he goes me hoy me noy. You know what I'm saying.
I unfortunately do know what you're saying. Yes. I just think it's very weird that of all the games you could have bought for cheap from the DS's library, you went for Pac-Pix.
Yeah, because I didn't know anything about it, and I'm like, wow, this sounds. I honestly I'd never heard of it, and I'm like, it's just a kind of dumb concept that I'd be like, okay, if this is short and stupid, I'll like it, but it's short and stupid, and also not no complexity, and doesn't look great, and like it's just a bad game.
Money well spent.
Yeah, no, at least I've played Pac-Pix. I've got it. I've got the case. I've got the manual in case I want to read it.
I'm going to put that on your tombstone if you die early.
That's fine. Please do. It's the one thing I'm known for in this bitch of a world. I'm the guy who played Pac-Pix.
I got a question for you.
Uh-oh.
The 3DS, the new 3DS in particular, 2 questions. One, has your paint started chipping off at all? Like the exterior layer of mine has begun to chip off and like flake off.
Nintendo 3DS XL?
Yeah.
Galaxy Edition? No, this motherfucker is built like a goddamn tank.
I've got the crimson red new 3DS, and it's like around the sides where you hold it against your palms, that's like rubbing off, and you can see like the silver metal underneath. Apparently, it's a more common issue than I thought. I was reading about it on Twitter a little bit, but the main question I want to know is, do you think it's still a comfortable system to use?
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. No issues whatsoever.
See, because I personally find that it's not nearly as comfortable.
I'll play a little Pac-Pix right here, right now. If you don't fucking test me.
I think that I prefer the hot dog design to the hamburger design personally in handhelds. So Vita, Switch, I think that's more comfortable.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's a terrible metaphor, but I do understand what you're saying. Do you just mean in terms of white balance, or?
I just it's a lot of things, and I actually think that a smaller 3DS is more comfortable, especially when you're playing Samus.
I could have started playing this earlier. However, all I had was an original 3DS, and I opened that fucker up, and I'm like, this thing's made for goddamn ants. I can't see anything. The screens are so tiny. Once you're used to the XL, it's insane. It's very tough to go back to the older screens because they're like a third smaller. Like the XL is like significantly more usable from a visual perspective.
I always wanted an LL. I thought those were really cool. The new 3DS regular size ones.
Oh, yeah, with the swappable faceplates. Yeah.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. Like I've tried to play Kid Icarus Uprising like 18 times.
Yeah.
But that was made for a smaller system. So you got this like fucking like dinner plate sized device you're trying to hold in one hand. Or even with Samus Returns, I think something about holding down the shoulder button and trying to use the circle pad at the same time. I don't know if my hands are changing. I don't know if I'm becoming a bigger boy.
It's called puberty.
But
finally.
It's just something I've been noticing. I didn't know if you were feeling the same. But
have you noticed hair going in strange places? Under your bed, maybe? Under your lamp? Those are strange places for hair to grow.
Those are really strange places for hair to grow.
All right, give me your concept because I still have essentially a topic of the show for us to get to.
Okay, sure. Tucker, I think that Halo is my favorite video game franchise of all time.
Yeah, I saw that one coming.
Yeah, that's my concept. I was saying, so I finished Halo 2 on Heroic. Let's talk about that for a second, then I'll get to the larger thing. It's not as good as I remember.
Time for my weekly turn off my brain and listen to Abram babble about Halo for 20 minutes.
Yes, dear. I think Halo 2 is probably the weakest of the Bungie games. It has notoriously a fucking awful development cycle where it came together in the last like 7 months or so, terrible crunch and everything. And you don't feel that until like the last 5 missions of the campaign.
Isn't that like half of them?
There's 15. So
okay, so well, that's a lot of them.
Yeah, and you don't feel unnormal. You feel on Heroic when the game starts to push back on you.
Sure.
And then you start to realize that holy fuck, are there a lot of brutes here, and holy fuck, are there a lot of enemies everywhere, and goddamn, are they killing me quickly, and goddamn, do I not have the equipment I want in this situation, and are these boss fights pretty scuffed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's an exercise in frustration for the last couple of missions after what is, on the whole, I think a much more varied campaign.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of homogeny in Combat Evolved, and I think that's used really efficiently and smartly. But here there are bigger set pieces, interesting stuff in New Mombasa, and you're going to different planets, and there's all the stuff you play as the Arbiter. It's so great. And then the last couple of missions just betray that with pretty clear padding, which is frustrating, especially on Heroic when I'm already having to push myself to beat the
Sure.
game as
Yeah.
it is. But I still really, really love the game anyway. And the reason I do is because I think that this probably has my favorite narrative in the franchise.
Just
and
two
of course,
specifically as that
yeah,
chunk of the narrative. Okay.
yeah, and not just like, oh, wooga, these cutscenes are pretty because I'm playing on the Anniversary Edition. But I think that the story of Chief and the Arbiter, the way they come together, the sort of religious fanaticism and the Covenant kind of overtaking various factions and causing infighting and various things. I don't want to spoil because I know you're playing. It's really dynamic and really interesting and shows a lot about the characters in the world, in the lore, in a way that I find super, super compelling. And at the same time, Tucker, from a gameplay perspective, big innovation here, dual wielding. Now,
Yeah.
when I played the game on normal, I never dual wielded because I didn't
Yeah.
need to, and I didn't like not having my grenades and like being able to switch.
Yeah.
But here you gotta dual wield, and this is a fucking brilliant design decision.
Okay.
Dual wielding, you can't use your grenades, you can't switch weapons easily, and usually what you can dual wield is mid to close range. So when you're getting suppressed by jackals with beam rifles, there's this really fun juggling act you have to perform between switching between, maybe you got those dual plasma rifles, you're killing some elites. But then you got that motherfucking jackal in the background. So you gotta drop, you gotta switch, you gotta chain together attacks in a different way. You have to use your environment smartly, play with the sandbox to get through, because dual wielding really is essential to burn through some of the chunkier enemies. I think that's a really great addition to the combat, making it even more dynamic and with, on the whole, better level design until you get to the back third.
Sure.
The combat just feels even better than it did in Combat Evolved. So
Yeah.
on the whole, I really do still love the game. I just think that those last couple missions are not very good.
Yeah. And from what I'm hearing, this sounds pretty similar to Dark Souls in the development cycle and said issues caused by it, because Dark Souls also notoriously had a rushed development cycle, meaning that the later third or fourth of the game is very different in terms of pacing from the original, or from most of it, and the level design doesn't necessarily hold a candle to what you started with. But I still, and I'm going to play Halo 2. I did start it a couple days ago, and I'll probably actually be playing a lot of it today. That's my current plan. That doesn't seem like something that would really kill me in terms of my enjoyment of a game, because it certainly didn't hinder my enjoyment of Dark Souls. I still think that's one of my favorite games of all time. So I'm excited to get into Halo 2 in a little bit more of a robust way. I will not be playing on Heroic, because if you can barely squeak by and I can hear you cursing on a Discord call, that's not the experience that I'm looking for. But is that the end of this weekly Halo segment?
No, are you such a fool as to believe that that's the truth? I'm not going to take too long, but
wait,
so
what?
then
that is finished.
Right.
And then you started Halo 3 on Heroic.
Right. I started Halo 3 on Heroic because I needed a palate cleanser after the Tartarus fight. And god damn is Halo.
That's not what palate cleanser means.
Halo 3 on Heroic is fucking perfect in terms of difficulty.
Sure.
Because you can burn through guys, but you got to be smart. There's a lot better. It's not just like, hey, these fucking elites have a lot of health and they're gonna kill you immediately. Here it's like, okay, there's a lot of dynamics to the brute's armor, shooting off brute armor, picking up weapons in the sandbox, all these things, using the equipment and everything. Great level design, phenomenal. I think that it'll be interesting once I finish this and start replaying Reach, as I'm going to do as soon as I finish Halo 3, which of those I end up liking more before I make my final Bungie ranking of their core games. But yeah, it's awesome. So then,
is there a reason you're specifically cutting it down to just the Bungie games for that ranking?
Well, no, because I'm going to play all of them, but I'm just kind of thinking in my head, starting to formulate, slot pieces in where they belong. But here's what I want to say on a macro level before we were done with Halo for the day. I just really love these games. I just really do. I think I think they sit on this great intersection of smart design and incredible world building and really fun gameplay. I played some multiplayer finally on some of my scuffed
Interesting.
test streams.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which was fun. I want to get more in multiplayer once I finish running the heroic campaigns. But the one point I want to make right now is really about narrative, because I think that Halo has this reputation, pretty rightfully so, for being the multiplayer game. It's the online shooter. It revolutionized that space. But I think more people need to recognize, and those who play Halo recognize it already, that there's such an interesting narrative here about religion and relationships and heroicism and all of these things. And it's wrapped up in this sort of aesthetic and tone that's very similar to Resident Evil, in the sense that it has one foot in camp and one foot in realism.
Sure.
So you've got really wacky, bombastic characters in pretty intense situations, and the way that all comes together just feels so unique and awesome. And I love it. And I really think Halo is my favorite video game franchise of all time, which is a little bit odd to say, but I think that might be the truth.
I don't think it's something you need to. I mean, look, that's a big call, considering it's essentially uprooting the very fabric of your existence.
I know,
but I don't necessarily think it's something you need to wrestle with too much, because in the end, the fuck does it matter? You can still be a Star Fox and a Pokemon fan, but you've got your like secret little hairy baby in the corner, and it's Halo. And
because Tucker, last thing I want to say, because you're totally right. Think about this.
Yes.
This year, I played Halo 2 for the first time.
Oh, I know.
3 for the first time. Reach 4, 5. Replayed Combat Evolved. Replayed 2, and I'm replaying 3 right now.
No ODST at all.
I played a little bit of ODST. I'm gonna go back to it, but
that's very strange to me that you didn't even beat that one.
Well, because I really like Chief. I think he brings something. Chief, Arbiter, Locke. They bring a very specific gameplay style. So ODST is an offshoot, and I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna finish it after I finish my heroic replays. But I played 8 Halo campaigns to completion already this year. So
deep sigh there. Well, actually, that's a pretty slick segue, unintentionally so, because you are not aware of what this next segment is. Because of course today, and we're peeling back the curtain a little bit. We usually record this the day before it goes up, so it'll be going up on July 1st. Wait, are there 31 days in June? No. Tomorrow's July 1st. Yes. Today's June 30th, and as of that meaning, we're 6 months through the year. We're halfway mark. Ka-ching. Halfway.
Point. That's true.
Equally. And I realized that this morning. I'm like, holy shit. Okay, how do I figure this in? We're gonna go back and see our progress on our 2021 gaming resolutions. Now, I rewatched that video while I was in the shower today and was thinking about remembering each thing. Okay. So I have a list of everything that we said in that, and we'll just see how we're working on it. I think both of us are doing pretty well, all things considered. But I want this as a reminder to make sure that some of them don't necessarily get lost, because I want to make sure, mostly for me, but also more for you, to remember some of these things to keep up with what we were initially promising.
I genuinely forgot we even did this. I'm going to be honest with you.
The 2021 gaming resolutions?
Yes.
Okay, well, I have your list of games that you need to play on my backlog, so don't worry, I've got you covered. But if we're starting with what we started with in the video, which was larger scale sort of ideas of how we want to tackle games this year, you said that you wanted to play more Xbox and Sega games, and I would say, considering your Halo fanaticism now, you can check that off. Sega, you'll be playing Monkey Ball later on in the year. So
I will play Monkey Ball. I played Judgment.
Sure.
Sega game.
Yeah. Okay. So I'd say good on you for that one. Like you definitely stepped into a new realm with your focus on your Series S and Halo in general. So good on there. I said that I wanted to play more GameCube games, and I did play Ribbit King. I did play some of Metroid Prime. I will probably play Wind Waker this year. Maybe Luigi's Mansion. I know it's pretty short. So I've
Resi 4. Give yourself a gold star for that.
Resi 4. So I'm not doing great on that one. So I'm not sure if I want to give myself a point on that yet. But I'm working my way there. I don't necessarily want to give myself too much credit too early on, because we still have half the year left. One thing that you said is that you, and I quote, I wrote this down word for word, you want to play more classic games and not get distracted by fucking random 2021 AAA games I probably don't need to play. I want your self realization of, has that been accurate or not?
I think that it has been more accurate than it otherwise could have been. what I mean by that is I think that there are 3 instances of AAA games I bought actually I'm gonna say 2 instances of AAA games I bought and got distracted by it that I didn't need to.
Mm-hmm.
I think Resident Evil Village is one.
Yeah.
And I think Ratchet and Clank is the other.
Metopia.
I suppose
Famicom Detective Club.
I suppose. Well, you could put the Nintendo stuff in there, but that stuff I am glad that I bought and thought that I was going to enjoy more.
Sure.
What I don't think buying those was a mistake.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and I would like to actually return to Famicom Detective Club, but I just feel like, why did I buy Resi 8? Because people were like, hey, it's Resi, and I want to play something on PS5.
Yeah.
Same with Ratchet and Clank. So those are definitely mistakes. But I feel like I have played a lot of classic games this year that I'm pretty happy with, to be honest with you.
Then as these are, personal things, I will give you your point for that. We'll see how it factors into the end of the year. There's a lot of games coming out. Some of them might not
I could fuck it up.
Yeah, you could fuck it up. So you're on thin ice here. We'll come back at the end of the year.
That's fair.
One of mine was to continue series that I'd gotten into last year, being Zelda, Metroid, Mega Man, and Final Fantasy. Link's Awakening, Metroid Prime. I will be playing Dread. I will be playing Samus Returns. So that section of it is in plans. Played Mega Man 2, 3, 4. So I think that's rightly covered. Played about 30 hours of Final Fantasy 7. So while that's not completed, I still would count that.
I'll count it.
And thank you. I appreciate it. And that also spins off into something else I would say is starting new series, which I'm only part of the way to. The 3 series I wanted to try were Yakuza, Danganronpa, and Metal Gear Solid. One of those I tried, Yakuza 0, did not click with me. I was not having a good time with it, so I can knock that one off. But Danganronpa and Metal Gear Solid still in my woodworks I need to get to, and I certainly will plan to. You also said that you wanted to play Metal Gear Solid 1, like very focusedly play Metal Gear Solid 1. And how many hours of that did you put in? How long did you play that?
Not many. I didn't really like it that much, to be honest.
Sure.
I don't really know what more to say other than that. Maybe I want to try Twin Snakes. Maybe something a little bit newer.
Well, that's the remake of 1, right?
Something a little bit newer might help. I would like to get into that series, but I was actually talking to some of my friends at college, and they feel the same way. That it just feels kind of outdated and not
MGS1,
engaging.
sure.
Yeah.
So, but I will count that one because, and it applies to my Yakuza 0 thing as well. You played the game and realized that it wasn't your style of thing. So you don't necessarily need to complete it to count on this list. You also said you were going to play your one character flaw, F-Zero GX.
And I did.
And you did, and you certainly have. You've talked about it multiple times on this show, and so I think that's actually probably the biggest win for either of us here, because not only that, but you also said your other one character flaw, not played Earthbound. You tried Earthbound. So these are like 4 hours of it or something.
Yeah, I'd say probably that. That's one I would like to play more of, but I don't know why I started in the middle of the semester. Like, what the fuck was I even thinking? I said I have to restart it.
I was watching our episode where you talked about that. I think you were like, oh, I can't really figure out exactly what to play. So, of course, I jumped into Earthbound. And then you're like, oh, I shouldn't really play this on the 3DS. It's not like the right time for it. This game's a little bit weird. A whole litany of things. But, again, you still tried it, so I will certainly count that. I said that I wanted to beat more games on my backlog, which I haven't necessarily factored out yet. I think I'm kind of there, but it's hard to determine what exactly applies. So that's something I'll have to really come down on later in the year. I also said that I wanted to buy less games / spend less money on games, which that was the numbers I was crunching before the episode.
Oh, okay.
I'm terribly losing on that one. And it really was bumped up by the fact that I bought more AAA games this year, like on release, than I usually do. I bought like 4 of them already. And I also did my eBay splurge and my eShop splurge in the last few weeks. So, I'm not doing well at that, honestly. And I'm a little bit disappointed in myself, but also it's too late. Can't return them, can't get them back. So I'll just have to do what I can in the future.
Sure.
Here's an interesting one for you. You were very stalwart about this one.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly which side of this you fall on.
Yeah.
But you wanted to finish more games and not jump around as much between stuff. Now, you have finished a fuckload of games, so I'm not denying that at all. However, you have recently refurbished your own brain to say it's okay for me to jump around stuff. So that goes against it, but also you're still beating stuff. I don't know.
Well, if I check my backlog right now, which I don't do very often, I think I've finished like I think I've seen credits on like games 40 times because I've got of course games I've finished multiple times this year. Okay, all right, here I am. Games I've completed in 2021. I've completed 31 unique games, but if you add in replays, I've finished 35 games,
Sure.
which I think is pretty good for 6 months, honestly.
I'm not, of course, that's great. You play more video games than most people do. The one
Yeah.
caveat being the game's graveyard, which you need to update with a lot of stuff.
Yeah. That's a really salient point.
Yeah.
So I
The
think that
game's graveyard full of things that I'm surprised you didn't get more into, or not necessarily, but there's a lot of stuff I mean, from an outsider's perspective, should because most of them
yeah.
are great games. But you're a character, so
Yeah, so I
you're a
think I
fucking
deserve
enigma wrapped in a
nothing on that.
baloney. Okay, that'll
Yeah.
cancel out, sure.
I
But
think
you still have a chance to redeem yourself. I'm
true.
not your father yet, but I would love to
True.
see if you can work that into checking out those games that you left, uh making sure, but you don't have to. You can do whatever the fuck you want. If you don't get your resolution, whatever, what do we fucking do
Yes.
to you? But just something to think about. Now, I believe I said I wanted to beat more games in general, which I'm on my way to. Actually, I on my list of games that I've played in 2021 ranked, I believe I have 41. And last year I had 64. No, I have 39, and last year I had 64. So I'm already, if we're halfway through the year, I'm already solidly on my way to crushing that
Yeah.
record. But now we transition. Hold on, one final thing for you, like series related. Play the rest of the Bungie Halo games.
I think I did that.
I think you're good
I think
there.
I did that.
Yeah. Now we transition into more specific game things, and I should have saved F-Zero and Earthbound for that, but I have not been doing great on this with the ones specific games I wanted to play being Half-Life 2 and Psychonauts, which I have not touched. So
Sure.
those are on my plan. I would like to play Psychonauts before the second one comes out, so we can talk about that one more on release. And I don't know necessarily, you're a busy man, you're a busy gamer, where Psychonauts comes down on that for you, but we
I'd like
could
to play
plan a
it.
little bit for that. But I did say that I wanted to play the rest of the 3D Mario games, which I am now 2 out of 3 of the way there for. I hadn't played 3D.
Oh, Galaxy 2.
Yes, Galaxy 2 being
Okay.
my last holdout, and I've got it behind me. I can play it whenever. I'll just need to motivate myself to play Galaxy. It's so tough, man. But you also on your list had Metroid Prime, which you did. Congratulations. And Okami HD, which that one I was a little bit mind boggled when I heard that in the episode. I'm like, what the fuck? Why'd
Yeah,
you
I don't
bring
even know
that
why I
up?
would have said that.
Yeah, that's a little bit strange. Oh, on the whole, we are doing pretty damn well. There's a few.
Yeah, we are.
Now we come to the section where I'm crushing it and you are flopping on the fucking deck like a goddamn fish. You're
Uh-oh.
failing at this, which is the games we suggested to one another and
Uh-oh.
a resolution that we each play before the end of the year, for the year's end. And of course, we're only halfway through, so you can still do it. But I'm going to give myself the meatiest possible pat on the back because I have played 3 out of the 4 games that you recommended to me.
What did I recommend to you?
I played Wolfenstein New Order, Star Fox
Great game.
64, Sin and Punishment.
Great game.
Only
Great
hold
game.
out Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, which I still would love to play.
Oh, sure.
Those were your 4 suggestions.
What do you suggest to me?
4 games. Portal.
Okay.
I don't think you thought about that one. Stanley Parable. Again.
No.
Yeah, think about that one. And then BioShock and Banjo-Kazooie. Both games you have started. And
Yes.
I believe enjoyed what you played of them, but it'll be
one of those
see,
is true. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how you come down on this at the end of the year, because there are only 4. None of them particularly long for any of us. Do you actually want to play those games, or was I just speaking out of my ass?
No, I actually do want to play Portal, and I do want to play BioShock. I already forgot what that second one was.
Stanley
Parable. Right, but the new one, it's got delayed, right?
We don't know anything about it. That also in our prediction or resolutions, I said there's a caveat to this. If Ultra Deluxe doesn't come out this year, it's whatever. I think you'd rather play that one on console with more content and everything. So
yeah. So I think this feeds back into my central issue with this segment being that I forgot we ever did this.
oh, well, that's a reasonable point. You've still been pretty
Yes,
good considering you forgot
right.
that happened.
But so I will play those games. I've got 6 months to do it. I think I can do it.
Mm-hmm. And please, it's the anniversary. Give Banjo another shot. I think your complaint about the babbling of characters is inane because they do it in fucking Animal Crossing and Star Fox. It makes no sense that that's the one thing that specifically bugs you about that game. And I think that the quality of the game overall is so intensely high.
Sure.
That
I'll give it another try.
Hey, I played through Super Rush, and they don't even have 3 voice clips per character there. So
Point. That's a really strong point.
you ever dash with your Mii and it goes aha.
Yeah, I have done that actually.
Fucking hate that.
No, that's a good point. I'll try that again.
And then, so you're not doing great. I'm doing great on this, but there's one last quote unquote section, which was we were gonna buy 3D World and stream it together.
Uh-oh. We did half of that.
But Alex, also there was a secondary caveat on that, which is, or at least do a video together, which we did. We reviewed that game and we reviewed Bowser's Fury.
Yeah.
And we did our first impressions of Bowser's Fury, I think.
We did the trailer reaction, then a discussion with the trailer, and then a review, I think.
Whatever. We did a bunch of content related to that. So even though we did terribly on part of it, I'll still give us the point because I don't give a shit.
Let's move the goalpost. We'll stream Mario Party Superstars.
Okay. Sure.
Because it's too late to stream 3D World.
No, of course, yes, 100%.
Too late.
But that also feeds into our the final thing of the day, which is we wanted to play more online games together. Have we played an online game together this year?
Have we ever played an online game together?
No, we have. Yeah. Oh, wait, we did play an online game together.
Oh, we played Super Mario Kart together.
Super Mario Kart together.
That's a great point.
And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we did. So it's more than 0.
It's a non-zero number. That's true.
We still were thinking about trying to use Thievius together. We got Mario Party. We got is Mario Party got online co-op? I don't know. I can't remember. But there are things that we could play together, believe it or not.
Advance Wars.
That's multiplayer?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that. Okay. Well, sure. That's squeezing it in at the end of the year, but
I also think that playing things together in person is even better. Like that's
100%.
Like that's surpassing what the resolution was supposed to be. Fine, sure. I'm flying to fucking Nebraska.
Yeah, that's true. You're literally paying money to do this.
I know.
But that's our update. On the whole, we're doing fucking great. There's a few holdout things that I wanted to use this as an opportunity to remind ourselves of.
Yes.
But the final score will come down at the end of the year. Now, halfway through the year, doing pretty good, knocking a lot of stuff off. Are there any addendums that you'd like to make for gaming resolutions? Of course, this is on the spot. I didn't give you any prompts to think about this, but is there anything that you like? I've been doing very well on this. Are there games that you want to suggest to me to add to this list? Anything for yourself?
Well, for myself, I want to actually justify the fact that I bought a Japanese GameCube.
Okay, outside of Dawson and Curran?
Well, by actually playing those games. I think I've probably spent a combined total of maybe 3 hours.
Justify his purchase of a Japanese GameCube. I think that's pretty reasonable.
I think that's pretty reasonable, yeah.
Also, maybe justify your purchase of PlayStation 5. No, that's just a joke.
Well, that's up to Sony to do.
Yeah.
We'll do a discussion about that.
I think we should. We were thinking about that the other day. I'm gonna I'm gonna go to one of my lists and find a game that I want to add to your list. Is there any games that you want to give me? Because I'm obviously open to recommendations.
Well, I got let's see, what have I played this year? I got me backlogged the list. I mean,
not counting Halo.
Right, I can only say Halo sometimes. Oh, here's a good one. How about Pikmin 3?
That's a great one. I'll put that on there for me.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that's probably my one recommendation to add to that list here.
Pikmin 3.
And Luigi Man maybe. But you said you
Luigi's
wanted me to
Mansion?
play it. Yeah.
I thought you didn't like that game that much.
Well, I really want you to play 3, but you're not gonna play 3 until you play the other ones.
Why?
But I just have a feeling that that's something.
I don't have Dark Moon.
I don't have Dark Moon. I've never played Dark Moon.
Interesting. Let's do a review of Dark Moon.
No.
No, that's a terrible idea.
I think Pikmin's a good pull though.
That is a solid pull for me, especially because I want to play that game.
Yes. I'd like you to try Returnal also.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so, yeah, I'll put that on my list. And I out of the goodness of my heart, I will not give you more games to disappoint me on.
Well, maybe you should. That way I got more options. So at least I didn't do nothing, you know?
You got 4 options. That's a pretty solid amount. That's the amount of options I had.
But I like more. I would like another option.
Ooh, there's a lot of pressure. Why don't I just do the bare minimum and say a Picross game? Because you also said that you in not only our resolutions, this was an official resolution, but in our best games of 2020, you said, and this is paraphrasing, but basically quoting that unless you die of some heinous early accident, you will play a Picross game before you die.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll play Twilight Princess Picross.
Now you're fucking with me.
No, that's real. I'm not fucking with you.
You're fucking with me.
I'm not fucking. Twilight Princess Picross was a my Nintendo reward.
Oh shit. Picross Micross? What the fuck?
You might still be able to redeem this off of my Nintendo.
It's a 3DS game.
Yeah.
Nintendo Picross. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. 1,000 platinum points. I don't think I have 1,000 platinum points.
But platinum points are for like completing surveys and like fucking turning on Mitomo. You could do that.
Oh. I don't know how many platinum points I have, actually. When was the last time you fucking thought about your platinum points? Oh, okay. I'm signed in. Oh, I have 610. That's not close.
You could earn those other 400 in literally 10 minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna figure out how to earn points after this, and maybe. I can get the Zelda Picross game. I wonder if that's on backlog. Let's find out.
You really didn't know about this?
No.
This is like the only. This continues to be the only thing worth getting off of my Nintendo.
Interesting. Oh, it's on backlog. My Nintendo Picross Legends out of Twilight Princess. Oh wow, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't understand.
That's a fucking dark, deep memory of Nintendo that you just pulled out. Interesting, fascinating. Well, a Picross game, and now you have access to ones that I own, so you can try one of them if you'd rather. One thing I would say is that the Picross S games do a better job of teaching the mechanics because there's more official tutorial in those than actually I might have skipped the tutorial in Murder by Numbers, but just bare bones basics. You could also go with a Mario Super Picross. You got access to that.
I do have access to that. Yeah. There's Pokemon Picross. I could do that.
There is. I have that on here. But that game, you need like energy for. Like it's one of those dumb mobile games where you can only play it for like 30 minutes a day or whatever.
That's a great point.
Fucking Nintendo.
Not involved in that game at all.
Sure.
Also, did you know that people are playing Pokemon Unite already? And apparently it's pretty good.
Huh. Are you actually interested in it?
I'm definitely interested in trying it. I mean, it's free. It comes out on Switch next month.
Oh, okay. Should have this on my list of games, Switch games.
I guess in Japan they're doing like a server test, so if you had a Japanese account, you could just download the game, which I was slow in the uptake too.
So it's all too late for you?
Yeah, I think I missed that window, but it's gonna come out in like fucking 2 weeks.
Oh, I have it on my list. I'm actually smarter than I thought.
Why haven't we ended the video? Hey, what are you done with doing your figures?
Yeah, I am, but it's not looking good.
What?
Okay. All right.
Did you get diagnosed with cancer? You're trying to figure out how long you're gonna be alive for? What are you doing?
Outlook not so great. What's the fucking 8-ball thing? Don't
Like
count on it. Am I gonna die of cancer? Well, doctor shakes 8-ball.
Wouldn't it suck if you died of cancer the day after Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl came out? So that was the last game you played.
I might just have to play those games, like not get those games day one to make sure that doesn't happen.
Imagine this: you're getting weaker and weaker, and you feel the life leaving your body, right? And you're like, and then you start becoming nostalgic with your childhood, and you're looking back on your life, and you're like, man, I really love playing Diamond and Pearl, and I can't wait to. I've been too hard on these games as my time on this planet is ending. I wanna reconnect with my childhood and experience this wonderful journey again. And then the games are bad, and you die of leukemia like 12 hours later.
That wouldn't be ideal, but sometimes you don't get what you want.
That's a great point.